Hey folks, Wetland here. I'm back with another fantasy map tutorial. This time, I'm going to show you how I draw trees and forests for my fantasy maps. Before we dive in, please subscribe to this channel and like and comment on this video if you're into what you're seeing. Forests are the foundation to any fantasy map, and they're the best way to create dynamic and interesting landscapes, terrains, and biomes for your next fantasy map. All right, let's go sketch. We're going to start with a deciduous forest for our first technique. We're going to draw a small straight line with an oval on top, kind of like a fudgicle or something. So here's a couple of those side by side. Now at the base of the tree, I like to draw just a few tufts of grass. Now for variety, we'll draw the next one with a circle on the top, like a lollipop or a balloon on a string. Now let's draw out the border of our forest, and I'm going to keep it small for this tutorial. For the front row of this forest, the canopies will just barely be touching. And there's a bit of overlapping with our ovals here, so just be aware of that. For the back row, we're going to do a series of small arches for treetops, or upside down U-shapes. And we're going to have a bit of a variety of sizes here. So you can draw a small straight line, a circle, or an oval if you've got this forest design down. And then for the treetops within the forest, again, we're just doing these overlapping U-shapes. Just add a few in random areas. And then we'll fill in all the base of the trees with some grass. You could also do a shadow at the bottom of the tree, but for this tutorial, I just went for grass. We're going to call this our Simple Forest 1. Now moving on, we're going to work on a coniferous forest. So I'm thinking like cedars and pines. We just draw a straight line with a cone on top. And again, we're just going to sort of do varieties of shapes, whether it's taller, skinnier, smaller. Just try to keep it random. And same with the last one. If you can draw a basic triangle, you can draw this forest. For the back row of trees, we're just going to draw an incomplete triangle. So just those two lines that taper up to a point. And again, we're doing different sizes and different shapes. And keep in mind where things are going to overlap. And then we'll just fill in the body of the forest with small little points. For this last simple forest design, I'm just going to do a nondescript forest. And with light pen strokes, we're just going to kind of make it look like a bit of a fluffy cloud, and that's going to be our canopy for the trees. And we just want to make it look like it's got dimension and volume. So we just go around that shape and cut in certain little areas here. And then at the front for the trunks, we're just going to draw a bunch of straight vertical lines down from the canopy, just like that. And then within the body of the forest, just do some small little pieces of detail in here. Some areas with higher treetops and a bit of texture. And there we go. There's 3 simple forest designs that I feel like anyone who could hold the pen can do this. So now let's move on to some more detailed trees here. So continuing where we started with our simple design, I'm going to work on another deciduous forest. But this time the tree trunks are 2 lines that sort of taper in towards each other, creating that trunk look. To give these trees a little bit of dimension, I like to add in a small, incomplete little tuft at the front. Then I go back around and create a bigger canopy at the treetop. That way it looks a little more three-dimensional. Again, kind of like a puffy cloud. So these few trees that I drew kind of look the same. Now let's do one that's a little different, kind of like our oval tree from our simple design one. Something a little more vertical and stretched out. Then we're just gonna fill in this front row with a bunch of these designs. We'll switch back and forth between the more circular design and the more vertical oval shaped design. Now, when I get to the side edges of these forests, I like to end it with one complete tree, and then I do some overlapping ones behind it. And that sort of brings up the vertical side as it curves around to the back side or the north side of the forest. We'll call this one, since it's a little tougher and has some more detail and technique to it, Advanced 1. Now let's move on to our next advanced technique. And this one's gonna be another coniferous forest, consisting mainly of cedar trees. And for the treetop, we start with a small point, and we'll call that the first tier of the cedar tree. And then for the second tier, we bring it in a little bit, and then we taper it out for the base of the treetop. And I try to keep it a little bit rough so that there's that texture of a cedar tree in there. So you see that the edges are pretty jagged, which is perfect for this. And since it's a forest, I figured we might as well add in a bit of a bush here, because you're gonna find a lot of bushes within a forest. So it's just kind of like a cloud shape here. And then I added in a few incomplete trees behind it. So let's pencil out our forest radius here, and then we'll keep moving through it. Now, the cedars that I've drawn so far have only kind of had 2 tiers in the treetop. This one, I'm gonna do 3-tiered, make it really tall. And for this design, I'm gonna go in between doing 2-tiered and 3-tiered cedar trees, and just overlapping them a little bit to make it look like a dense forest. Like I said earlier, you're gonna see at the side edges that I sort of do a mostly complete tree, even though it is being overlapped by the tree beside it. And then, just like our simple design, I'm just gonna draw some pointed shapes for the tree tops at the back row and within the body of the forest. I added in a few other bushes, again, just to make it look like a dense forest, and that looks pretty great. Call this Advanced 2. And now for our last advanced forest here. This is gonna be more like a weeping forest, something that you'd find in a marsh. Something that you'd find in a marsh or within the wetlands, or maybe even a jungle. But anyways, this is a pretty interesting design here. So check this out. For the trunk, I did a bit of a Y shape with just one more vertical line within the center. And those are gonna kind of be these branches that span up from the trunk to support the canopy of this weeping willow style tree. And then at the end of each branch, I'm sort of doing a bit of a circular shape, but at the bottom, it's just gonna kind of drip down. It definitely has that swampy look going on here. Loving it. So let's just keep going through. And for the back side of the forest, kind of like the simple design one, just doing these incomplete arch shapes, but with more of a variety of sizes. And that's kind of how I'm filling out this swampy looking forest. And there we go. There's 6 full forest designs that you could use for your next fantasy map. Now hold on, we're not done yet. Here's a bunch of bonus material here, as I'm gonna dive in to a bunch of ways to draw a variety of trees. So reiterating what we drew in Simple Design 1, we've just got our circle on top of a vertical line. Like I said, kind of like a lollipop or a balloon on a string. Now next to it, I'm gonna draw the more advanced design from Advanced Design 1. Next to it, we're gonna draw another more simple design, with this one being our line with our oval shape at the top, kind of like a fudgicle. And then we've got our more advanced design. Again, just those 2 lines that taper up for our trunk. Moving on to our coniferous trees, we've got our first one from Simple Design 2, just a line with a cone shape on top. And beside it, we've got our more advanced design, starting at the top with our first tier of the cone shape, and then our second tier that sort of tapers or flares out from the first tier. I figured I might as well also throw in the 3-tiered cedar. Now for some simple designs that we didn't really go over. This one is gonna be our simple design for a willow. Just a line with what I would describe as kind of a bell shape on the top, and then just a few small light vertical lines to give it that weeping detail. All right, and for that simple cedar design, if you wanna just add in that tier look, just draw a light horizontal line in the middle. And now here's our advanced weeping tree. As you can see, I'm just sort of gently making this shape and adding in some texture within the canopy and the weeping bits at the bottom. Now things are gonna get a little abstract here, but check this out. This is what I would call a simple palm tree. And I just sort of drew a basic umbrella shape here. Vertical line with a bit of a bend to it, then this sort of pointy ellipse shape here. Now for the more advanced design, we're gonna do 2 curved vertical lines. And like the other trunks, they're gonna kind of taper in towards the top. And then we're gonna draw a few of these pointy ellipse shapes at the top, a bit like a abstract star shape. And I'll also add in that texture on the trunk and then that classic line that you see at the top of the palm tree. Now here's a few designs for dead trees, something that you would include in a barren wasteland part of your map. So here's a couple of simple designs that if you can draw a stick person, you can draw this. And really the only difference between the simple design and the advanced is the trunk, where we just have 2 lines that go up, and I sort of just make this random gnarly line work shape here. And to finish it off, here's a couple more abstract designs here. And this is just sort of an abstract version of Simple Design 1, the first tree we started with. Except it branches out more at the base. So this could be more like a maple tree. But what it actually looks like, it's just 3 balloons on strings. Second design here has a longer trunk, but still branches out. And then we've just got our overlapping circles at the top. Then for our advanced design, we're gonna bring that trunk up. And then the branches are gonna spread out. And then I just sketch out this kind of cloud-looking canopy. From the branches, I do a bit of rough line work, and then I make it bloom out all the way around. And again, that gives it some depth and detail to the tree. And then let's draw one last kind of bushy-looking tree here. Now let's recap and take a look at everything that we've done so far. Okay, and there we go. We went over a variety of ways to draw trees and forests for your next fantasy map. And please, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Until next time.